Hi everyone! First of all, apologies for taking so long to create some new content. I've been really busy with work, and so finding the time to create some new videos, can be difficult somehow. Nevertheless, we are back, so today we are going to be talking about the 10 heuristic design principles. So, what are they and why are they so important for UX design? Well, the 10 usability heuristics for user interface design were actually created by Jacob Nielsen back in 1994. They are called heuristics because they are broad rules of thumb to improve the user experience, and so not a strict set of guidelines per se. There are many other metrics as well, like iOS 7, the Schneiderman's principles, but these are not as used as the heuristic design principles, so we are covering them in this video. If there is a curiosity for the next one, I can always make another video covering those. So what are the benefits of applying heuristic design principles? Well, besides improving the user experience overall, they can also remove the subjectivity of personal opinion. Especially for UX designers out there, I'm sure that you came across very vague and highly personal feedbacks that help in nothing within the product development and can even work against it. And so the 10 heuristic principles can help the company to stay focused, improve the usability, and it's a constant reminder that they are developing a product for the user, not for themselves. So what are the actual 10 heuristic principles? Number 1, visibility of system status. The system, or the user interface in this case, should always inform the user of what's happening at any given time. A very good example of this is when you hover a button or when you click on a button, you can always tell that there is some sort of a change on the interaction. Another good example is the progress bar. Number 2, a match between the system and the real world. In other words, stick to conventions. So this can be related to speaking the user's language, for example. So no technical jargon that the user won't understand. Or even examples like using the first 3 letters or the first 12 numbers to specify a calendar month. Number 3, user control and freedom. The user is always in control of what's going on, and they always have a clear exit to cancel an operation or to go back to the previous interaction. So for the ones that heard about this, dark patterns is a great example of this third principle infringement. By the way, if you want to know more about dark patterns, please let me know in the comments, and I can make a video on this as well for the ones that don't know. Number 4, consistency and standards. So consistency affects every aspect of the design, not only in its aesthetics, but also in the words and tone of voice that you use when creating the content. Another point is to keep the design as obvious as possible, so the user always know what's a button, what the elements that are clickable, etc. Number 5, help users recognize, diagnose, and recover from errors. You should be able to provide solutions once the user encounters an error, or at least steer them in the right direction. So no strange codes in warning messages or anything like that. Instead, focus on explaining the user as much as possible about what happened, and if it's not clear enough, try to provide some sort of relevant information, such as like a contact number, an email address, or something else where the user can seek help from. Number 6, error prevention. First of all, try to provide as much as possible a robust design that prevents the user from making mistakes. Easier said than done. So how can you do this sometimes? Sometimes by providing just a simple solution for a problem, or multiple ways of doing the same thing. It really depends on a case by case. A very good example of this is on Gmail, when you try to send an email. And if you mention that there is an attachment, if you press send, Google reminds you, well, you mentioned that you were meant to send an attachment, but you didn't actually attach anything. Would you like to attach something now? Number 7, recognition rather than recall. The user should not have to memorize the information from one part of the system to another. Instead, you want to carry that information for as long as possible for the user. A very good example of this is an e-commerce. So when you're buying a new t-shirt, for example, once you go from the element where you choose the clothing to the checkout, there is no sort of code in between or a reference in between that you have to type in order to pay for it. Instead, the system carries the t-shirt from the place where you saw it to the checkout with a reference and the t-shirt information and stuff, so that you can be sure that what you're buying is exactly what you want. Number 8, flexibility and efficiency of use. We see this nowadays a lot, especially on features like predictive text or forms that get auto-filled from the moment you type the first letter of your name, of the first number of your address, etc. This basically means that every time the system is capable, it should help the user by simplifying the task for them. Number 9, aesthetic and minimalistic design. Well, this one is self-explanatory. So basically, no clutter and make it as easy and as clear for the user as possible. Number 10, help and documentation. So this one was the last of the 10 principles that were added onto the heuristics list. And as the name suggests, it has to do with providing help, tutorials, documentation, whenever the user is introduced to a system or is struggling to use it. Nowadays, we see this a lot in video formats on applications that we use, such as Adobe Photoshop. And this is it. So we completed the 10 heuristic principles. As usual, please don't forget to smash that like button or the subscribe button as well, to comment, share, etc. And I'll see you guys on the next video. See ya!